Welcome to the Confident Mental Wellness Podcast. Challenge what holds you back, where we love on and challenge business executives, entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, thought leaders, and coaches to take us deep, revealing how self-doubt, negative thinking, and even sheer fear were secrets they refuse to reveal to anyone. Secrets that once held them back. We'll hear how these leaders cast off the fear, excuses, and setbacks to move forward with purpose and passion. How they activated a mindset that set them up for success. Joining us today is Frank Lehane, financial expert. He owns Safe Savings Options, and he calls himself a Savers Wealth Advocate. He's also written a book. It's called From Broke to Six Figures, Steps to Success in Business and in Life. So Frank, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Love being here.
So I understand your business is very strong on the issue of keeping money safe while you're building wealth. And it's also important that clients look down the road in their finances to what their legacy is going to be, an inheritance for their children. That's very important. So my question to you is this: what happens when someone doesn't slow down long enough to get a handle on their finances? What happens? Does that present a mental health challenge?
It absolutely can. The way that it shows up for people is, well, there's a lot of shame around it. So that means that they kind of like keep to themselves. They don't share these things, even among loved ones, even with their spouse, about how they're feeling about something, about not having a handle on things. And they don't really know who they could talk to. There's either people that are too close to them or people that they don't know or trust. And so they're kind of really caught in a dilemma. And with that comes stress. And if you couple that with what they're already going through in their outside lives, I mean, what are we talking about? Talking about the job, those associated pressures, demands, making a living, saving money, paying for to, and pretty soon people just kind of like numb themselves to that. And they get down the line to a certain point where they actually can slow down for a moment. And that's when it kind of comes clearly to their focus. The things I could have done, should have done.
Uh-huh.
I'm just now starting to even realize these things now. And so they find themselves in a very overwhelming situation. So yeah. And what I get to do is I get to unpack those things. I get to listen deeply without any judgment to where they're at, but more importantly, what they care about. Because where they're at it isn't the point.
It's not. I guess at that point, there's nothing you can do about it, right?
Because the thing is, no matter where you're at, you have these things that you care about. There are these things that are going to fulfill your life. These are things that are going to make your life have meaning. These are things that when you get down to a certain point in life where you look back, you can say, I I ran the race. I kept the faith. If I did a really good job, and here's the results of what I've done, and whether it's leaving legacy to children or leaving legacy to cherished causes, you name it, puppy dog ranches or orphanages or clean water wells
Yeah.
overseas. Yeah. And so
Whatever your
they-
passion is. Yeah.
this is actually what people save wealth for. And those are the kind of people that I really, really love working with, because we're kind of like this.
Sounds
We
like the
we
same
we
answer.
we have this flame in us that God gave us, and we want to do everything we can to keep that lit and really show people out there that they can not only be inspiring, but they can be inspired and they can also be soothed and
Is
know
that what you do? Do you have to soothe people?
when people get things unpacked for them and you actually are able to put things in this pile and this pile and this pile, dealing with people in overwhelm, they're in mental anguish. They get soothed. They say things like this: "You are an answer to prayer. You really heard where we were, and you have our back. We trust you. We want you to help us." And when I hear that, my mission is pretty much accomplished. After that, it's all of the services and products or whatever you have out there. But unlike an industry that leads with those things are actually a logical conclusion or a logical result of where the journey has taken them as far as being able to feel comfortable about sharing what they really want, what they really care about, and actually how to get those things very simply in a way that they can understand it and actually appreciate it and in turn share it with people that they love and care about. And that's what I
Definitely.
get to do.
That's important work. And it just sounds almost like you're somewhat of a therapist in the beginning, maybe with people who are, their finances are in shambles. You've got to bring them in and sort things out.
Yeah, if I could, that's actually how my title that I invented came about. It's like, what is an advocate? An advocate is somebody who stands in the fray for you. They're the ones who are like, look, I'm leading you through this. I'm navigating you through this. And I get to field all of these things that scare you or confuse you. I get to really kind of like unfold and unpack those things for you in a way where you can actually stop being afraid and actually engage and actually come to clarity about a lot of things that you didn't think you could ever have the kind of clarity you need. Like, oh, I have to go back to school and get a finance degree. No, you don't. You just breathe, you relax, and you're able to think again. But that's if you want to bring up mental wellness or stress or anxiety, people they need that. But they
Why,
want
Frank, why do they wait so long? Why are they at toward the end?
I don't
And
even
then I have no retirement. I have no inheritance. Why?
well see what do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention. And what I mean by that is people are so caught up in their life and people approach them all the time. Hey, you want to buy this? Hey, you want to get this? All they're trying to do is survive and thrive. And so when necessity becomes the mother of invention, as I say, it's like all of a sudden you're facing a point in your life where they start talking to you about, hey, when are you going to retire? Or hey, when have you signed up for Medicare? Or all these things. And then you get a kind of a glimpse, a foretaste of your own mortality. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have so many loose ends that I've never really looked. And what do I do now? And that's when the overwhelm happens. And when somebody can come into that and say, we can take all these things and unpack and really give you a clarity that you need, that you're going to really enjoy, and cause you to go like this. Did you get that? So that was
Yes.
a sigh. I actually get to physically see that and hear that.
Mhm. That
But
must be rewarding for you.
well, it's like this. I didn't think that there was an answer to this question. I didn't think that there was a solution to this problem. It's so overwhelming to me. And they get to see if there's somebody outside of the situation that can be engaged in the situation without being emotionally tied up and tied down in the situation and just go, maybe there's an opportunity to reframe things
Yeah.
and look at things from different perspectives. And when people take the time to do that, that's when they become some of my very best clients, clients that they say things about you within earshot of me that I wish I could run up to them and go, they say, Frank can walk on water. What he's done for us. And I go, John, you know that I can't do that. And John will say something like, yeah, but if you could, you
Yeah, would. Yeah.
and I go, well, thank you
That
very
is
much. But no,
that
it's
is
just like, yeah, let people just tell people. And I don't need to ask them to tell people. They tell people about me and say whatever's on their heart and mind. And I just, yeah, that's great.
take it all in, enjoy it, give
And that's
more.
why when you give me the opportunity to be a guest on your podcast, I love talking about this stuff all the time. I could talk about it for hours on end, although we only have 20 minutes.
Right. Let's take time.
No, I seek every opportunity to do that because this is what gives people the joy and the energy in life.
Mm,
They can actually step back and kind of go, there is a way for me to get a handle on this. And you know something? It's not too late. And you
mm.
know something? God has redeemed the time for me here for just this moment for us to come together and really connection, find out how we can be of service to each other. So that's why I'm loving this.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask you this. I'm about to publish my first book,
You,
July of 2023. And it's
congratulations.
called The Secret You Hide Holds You Back, How
Ooh,
Letting You Go Sweetens Life and Makes You Free.
he,
One of the things I talk about in there are those secrets, those events from the past, those circumstances, that traumatic thing that happened to you, or worries and fears and pain, or all that junk that we really stuffed down in here,
he.
uh, keeps us from stretching and growing and reaching even for the things that we need. We just keep it locked in here and withdraw instead of opening up to receive what may want to come to us. So, do you think that people who are having financial difficulties take that to the workplace? And how does that show up?
Yes, is the simple answer. Yes, they take that everywhere they go. It's like they're not separate things like this is my home life, this is my work life. They come together and it shows up in all kinds of ways. And some of the ways that it could show up is catastrophically. You could be living your life and all of a sudden one day life completely radically changes, not for the best. And you find yourself in a situation where reality just comes streaming in and you're faced with things like, am I ever going to get my wife back again?
Oh, Frank, I have to.
Am I
Because the
ever,
life is about you, isn't it?
yeah.
Tell me your story.
When you wake up on a Saturday morning, you're going to do the weekend. Your wife wakes later than usual, and you're kind of wondering why. And all of a sudden she gets up and she goes, I think I need to go to the doctor because I feel this pain here. And it's so we take her to the doctor, the emergency room on a weekend, the urgent care. They can't find anything wrong with her. So they send her home and she gets worse and bring her back. Look, take her to the emergency room, take her to the emergency room. the bottom line is that you spend three separate visits to urgent care and a couple to emergency and ambulance visits, only to find out that the doctor comes out and says, your wife's not going home with you tonight. We're going to keep her here because we feel that she's had a collapse. And I'm kind of going, of all people, the even keeled, calm, stalwart wife of mine is like catatonic. And I'm going, what am I going to do? Who's going to help me? And that's when you run across the realities of people that want to help you, but they're afraid to come over to help you. Or
Talk
there's
about
me,
that. What is that fear?
there's me
Yeah.
who's afraid to ask for help. And there's an overriding thing here. It's called this. There's a stigma
Stigma.
against mental unwellness. So you're left with, my gosh, I have a situation here that I cannot fathom. I cannot cope with this. And thank God, people that you'd never expect to come to the aid of me, us, did. And what happened was it gave me some confidence, some confidence to actually start asking for what it was that I needed. And I mean, from HR people, from our company, the big scary HR department. When you start asking people specifically for help, can give you help, doors start opening. And I was like, wow, I wonder what would happen if I just kept things locked up inside of, if I didn't keep my mind and my options open to people telling me things that I really needed to hear that weeks prior, I wouldn't have given it a second thought. And to be able to stand and be able to weather even the negative feedback coming to you from loved ones that are afraid for my wife, their sibling, their daughter, and be able to kind of go, look, God, where would you have me go with this? And actually have people come into the picture that told me information in such a way that caused me to go, okay, that's a way to go. And having gone that way, the miraculous occurs.
Mm.
And I got my wife back 100%. Uh, I'm not going to go into the details of how they did that, but it was, it scared a lot of people in our circle, our family circle. And if I would have let that fear dominate, then she wouldn't have gotten the help that she got. Simply because these things that we just kind of stuff down inside ourselves, instead of just looking up and saying, God, help me. I don't know if your listeners are believers in God, but I am. And I believe that God does help the people that call upon him. And he did. But yeah, mental wellness in the workplace, yeah, it's kept down quiet. Nobody wants to look, they don't want to open up about it. I came to learn that more people than anyone is aware of are suffering. They're like walking wounded out there. And it's only a matter of time before something breaks. And that's when reality comes up and smacks you right in the head. And it's like, and for me, and what I'm able to do for people is like, look, if we can actually unpack things and get things handled before such things like that come to pass. Again, I'm not giving you a guarantee that everything's going to be hunky dory, but will it be able to provide some things for you, relief, hope, encouragement for you? come that day when things like that do happen.
Sure. Well, let me ask you. So, Frank, like for a listener who is an employee, what would you recommend that they do now? Would it help to pull out that benefits booklet and just be aware of the benefits you have? Would that
That,
bring some peace?
that is an awesome question because what I had to do was start from scratch when what happened to us. And it was like, and you might say, I got combat training. You don't want to get combat training. You actually want to take a few hours and go to the HR person and have them go over what your benefits really are. You may be shocked. You may actually appreciate your employer even more than you
Even
did.
more.
I didn't I didn't know that I had that provision. I didn't know that I had that kind of hospital thing available. I didn't know that that was already done and paid for. I didn't know any of this stuff.
Mhm.
I didn't know about paid time off. I didn't know about disability, all these mazes that, believe me, when I was first faced with them, it was like, Lord have mercy. Where do you start? Well, yeah, there are people that are advocating for you. You just don't know them. Take time to get to know them. They're called your HR department if you work for a job. They're called your financial person. That guy that came over and sold you the life insurance or the health insurance. That person.
Oh, yeah, that person. Yeah,
They know a lot of things.
you do.
It doesn't really do them any good though if they're not sharing them with you. Once they do share them with you, and you feel comfortable that oh, you're just coming over to sell me something, and you can get release that kind of fear.
Mm.
And it's like, look, I need to know what's available. And then that's when the eyes fly open and you go, wow, I'm
Right.
so blessed. So blessed. We're so blessed.
Yeah, I'm so glad your story had a happy ending.
Mm.
But it's a poignant story. It could happen to anybody that way.
Yes, indeed.
And, we're not always prepared for what life is going to throw at us. But I mean, there's something we can do, and it's find out about the benefits we have,
Mm.
uh, and find out about who can be my advocate, who can be my Savers Wealth advocate.
Yeah,
That could be you.
one thing I want to interject.
Sure.
An advocate is not a salesperson. Now I am in business and things get sold,
Yeah.
but an advocate comes in to tell you what the pros and cons of things are. They give you the lay of the land, and they
Don't
really
our financial advisors do that? Do they
when
all do that?
when I was trained as in a very, very reputable Wall Street firm years ago, we were actually our job was to sell financial products. And in fact, I'll just say this. I really found out who I was really working for when I was working for Wall Street firms. And actually, my customer was the third one down the line. I was working for my company. Then I was working for me. And then I was working for my customer. Yeah, they'll be okay. But I got to make sure my company's happy. I got to make sure that I'm making a living. Oh, yeah. And by the way, but it was the client that drove all of those things. And so when I separated myself from that and recreated myself, it's like, I want to be the advocate. And if I'm talking to the right people that actually are comfortable telling me what their careabouts are, and they go, you know what my careabouts are, and you can help me get them. I want you to help me get them. I don't ever have to worry about what's going to happen to Frank over here. I just need to keep focused on you over there and making sure that you're getting what you need and what you want. And yeah, and leave the consequences.
Mm. Okay, Frank. Yes, and that's what sets you apart, I think. Be
I
an
think
advocate and not a salesman to the people that you serve.
I talk about that in my book.
Yes, from broke to six figures.
There's one chapter, it's called Stop Selling, Just Stop It.
Yes.
And it really came from my own experiences. Like, wow,
Yeah. I would imagine that would bring some peace even to the financial advisor or counselor. I mean, wouldn't it?
it
Wasn't
actually
really
had.
there more peace to relax and just listen and be concerned?
My heart goes out to a lot of financial people out there in the industry because I know what they go through. I got to please my company first, and I got to make a living. After that, it kind of like loses all kinds of energy after that because it's like, wait a minute, isn't it the customer that is the first person? In fact, it doesn't really work out that way. And I just couldn't live with that. That's why when I stepped away from that, I go, look, I need to create my own company and do things in a way that promotes relationship and truth.
And that's wonderful. I'm so glad to get to know you better, to
Yeah,
know
thank
you're
you
an
for having me.
advocate and you can be an advocate for listeners. How can my listeners contact you?
Well, they can go to my website, www.yourmoneyspower.com, and I'll give you all this contact information later on. And they don't have to fear about calendaring a 20-minute conversation with me. And just to find out, hey, what is it that I don't know that I ought to know?
And you have an offer, don't you? Do you have an offer chapters?
Yeah, I have at what I decided to do is like it's believe it or not, I'm not one of my ambitions is not to become a New York Times bestseller, but I do have a book on Amazon. What I want people to do is actually get to know who I am and what the message is out there quickly. So I have about 3 to 4 to 5 complimentary chapters, chapters that I send people. In fact, if you go to Frank Lehane, FrankLehane.com, you can download these complimentary chapters. And the thing I like about each chapter is I've built in at the end of each chapter a QR code and a hyperlink that actually takes people into a minute and a half short video that I like to call a golden nugget. And what a golden nugget is something that I did not talk about in the book, but really takes people that took the time to read that chapter or read the book. It makes them, brings them into knowing things that, they go, I'm glad I know that. I didn't really see that before. That's why I call it a golden nugget. Golden nuggets, you're not going to trip across them going down the street. They need to be like searched for a little bit. If you
That's right.
find the golden nugget, it's valuable. So that's why those golden nuggets are at the end of each one of those chapters. And so, no, people don't need to buy my book. They can enjoy it and they can get to know me, what message is, just by going to my landing page, franklehane.com.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you for joining me here on Challenge What Holds You Back. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure
Thank
getting
you. I
to know
loved it.
you.
I love talking to your audience. And yeah, I look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Because everyone's journey to confident mental wellness includes challenges, you're going to find a lot of value in our newest book, The Secret You Hide Holds You Back: How Letting Go Sweetens Life and Makes You Free. It's coming soon. If you know of a leader who would be perfect for this podcast, they cast off the fear, excuses, and setbacks to activate a mindset that sets them up for success, please send them my way.